What's good, guys? Welcome back to Everyday Struggle. Nadeska, Akademiks, and Wayno here. It is Super Tuesday in America, if anyone cares.
I've never heard Super Tuesday before.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I've never heard that.
Really?
For real?
You voting?
No.
What? Yo, y'all seem so unenthusiastic.
Pretty
This is how
unenthusiastic.
y'all get Trump out of office.
Pretty-
You don't want Trump out of office?
Do you really?
Oh, damn you.
Let's not even talk about it here. I'm very unenthusiastic about this election and this campaign. I'll say
Yo,
that.
this shit is like we living in a real life cartoon.
Sorry, Greg says we need to encourage people to vote. Guys, ignore us. You should go out and vote. I'm just kidding. I'm definitely voting.
Definitely go vote.
Damn, you see. Oh my
Definitely go vote. It's still a cartoon, but go vote.
man, just don't. She's trying to do her best not to expose the fact that she's a Trump supporter. It's crazy.
I'm sure anyone believes that. Have you been following the debates or anything like that?
Hell no, these niggas boring as paint.
Okay.
These niggas is boring. I'm sorry. Like, after seeing Trump turn this shit up, at least Obama had a little, flair, a little chip on his shoulder. These motherfuckers just look so cut and dry. Look like unseasoned chicken up there. I'm like,
The only thing I want to know is that picture. I want to know what that picture was with Trump, with all them black people standing around and putting their hands on him. Did you see that picture? Y'all didn't see that picture?
No. This just happened?
Huh?
This just happened?
It happened last week.
Was he at Sunday service?
Nah, he was like in an Oval Office, and it's like he's just sitting there with his eyes open like this, and it's mad people with their eyes closed touching him. This shit is mad. It looks like an album cover.
Roger said an ex-football player just called him the first black president.
Yeah, he's a bozo.
On that note, G Herbo has a new album out. We're going to talk about that soon. But first, he recently did an interview with The Breakfast Club where he spoke about Juice WRLD, rest in peace. He talked about his impact on this generation. He said it's similar to how it's similar to how Biggie and Pac affected people. Take a look.
What did Juice WRLD mean to you?
Everything as well. That's my little brother, man. I think about him every single day. And I be saying, like, I don't know, because I'm in New York, y'all probably ain't gonna like me saying this, but I think, like, what Juice was to our generation, bro, and the impact that he had on us is what Biggie did for New York, for real. Like, I really think what he had, that Biggie Pac effect, you know what I'm saying, in his short time here, like, you know what I'm saying?
So I want to, because Ak is always gonna pass it to me. So I want to know what question you thinking of to ask me what I think about this shit, because you always form something.
Honestly, I just didn't get it. Like, I fuck with G Herbo. Like, by the way, G Herbo gets a pass to say some nonsensical shit like this because that's his man's.
Think it's nonsense?
Yes. Like, you really think? Like, come on now.
Whenever people mention someone being like Pac, he gets very, very strong feelings about it.
But like, even, again, I was really thinking, and maybe one of y'all could put me up on game, like, what is the impact of Biggie and Pac that is comparable to Juice WRLD, even on a generational aspect? I do believe that Juice was one of the few individuals of the generation that made it a point to show that he was not only great with melodies, making songs, but he was lyrical. Like, that's something he really enjoyed to do. Mm-hmm. But I don't see where the Biggie or Pac, just Biggie in general, like, where's the parallel? So I'm struggling to draw that line, but then, again, we are a little bit prisoners of the moment, and also, like, unfortunately, when someone dies, it kind of elevates them to a level where we see statements or we hear things like this very frequently. I just don't see it with the Juice. All respect to him. I do think, to be honest, he would have definitely been one of the legends. And I think, he probably is going to go down as one of the legends of his generation, even in a short time. But to compare him to an artist whose impact is not only within that generation, but cross-generation, I just think that's kind of ludicrous. But, again, this is, by the way, we also got to keep in mind what G Herbo has said about him even while he was alive. Mm-hmm. He compared, his talent, I believe, to Michael Jackson. So, again, it's G Herbo. This is his man's. I'm gonna let him pass.
So, look, let's take out him being his man's and all that. We have to keep in mind that G Herbo is younger than both you and I.
Okay.
And Juice WRLD was both younger than you and I. When Biggie and Pac both died, I was a teenager. Right? Mm-hmm. So me being a teenager, I didn't really see how it affected adults, but I know for me being a teenager, that happened in my freshman year of high school, it hit young kids really hard, right? So when I see him say this, I'm thinking about the effect that his music has on them, where a lot of his shit is emotional. A lot of his music is about sadness. I'm not gonna call him Big or Pac, but I can see why he would say that it has an effect on those younger kids. We're not those younger kids. So we don't know exactly how they're feeling or what they're going through by losing an artist like that. Even the same shit with X. Like, the thing is like we're very touchy when it comes to those names, the Biggies, the Pacs or whatever, because we look at them as how legendary they are. But even X, you said it yourself, like, you see how big of an impact he had on his fan base, and him losing his life so young, like, I think that's the part that's comparable. Both of them, all of these guys, all these dudes died before they was 25, including Biggie or Pac. I think Pac was about 25.
But I think that's where, like, I kind of, and maybe that's why that's the exact reason why I allow him to say that.
Okay.
Right? Because as you compare, and it's I don't even really want to get too much into this conversation, because when you discuss someone who has passed away, you have to be very careful how you discuss someone's legacy.
Right.
And also make sure you're not really disrespecting someone.
Right.
I
But it is what it is, as
I
far
feel
as
like the
being
legacy
artist.
and the death of X is much different than Juice WRLD, honestly. And I think while I understand some of the comparisons with X, and not even to like a Biggie, but maybe Pac-esque in certain aspects.
Because of how he spoke outside of music.
In certain aspects. I understand the impact, and I saw what it did to, like, literally the landscape of not only that generation, but just a generation of fans who pretty much thought he was going to run the next, like, 10, 15 years of music.
Right.
I'm not sure if that was Juice, but again, I might be a little bit biased because I was closer to X.
Right, but then what I see is like, okay, when X was lost, then I think a lot of kids probably gravitated towards a Juice. You know what I mean? To kind of lead them. Like, I don't know how these kids feel, you know, but I know that it affected them heavily.
All right, so let's take 2 steps back. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Cut you off. At least in your words, when Biggie passed away, what was the effect of that?
Okay, so Biggie, for myself, I remember, like, I didn't even want to go to school that day. I mean, like, I cut school that day that Biggie died. And I don't know, I think we just loved him so much as a rapper, but then New York, I ain't even gonna say New York, just Brooklyn alone. Like, Brooklyn alone, I never seen, like, they paraded this man, like they did a run throughout all the Brooklyn streets where people were not celebrating, but people were like
You're celebrating his life and the legacy. Like, do you mean the impact it had on people emotionally, or how it changed music,
I really wasn't talking about just really his death only, but, like, I guess also his career. Like, how did what he did while he was alive and then he died? How did that affect, like, just music in general? Because I think that's what I'm thinking about, because.
Well, it was like, pick a side.
When we mentioned Biggie and Pac and just what has happened since their death,
right?
You know, I think we could probably almost see chain effects from whether we're saying certain rappers took over this center. You know what I mean? And I think that's what I think about.
Well, it's still very. I mean, it's only like when X was almost 2 years ago, right? X died in 2018, right? So X was almost 2 years ago, and Juice WRLD, it's only been a few months. So it's like we living in it right now. We're not gonna see the long-term effects, but I do think that, like, not just because everybody says, oh, Jay-Z wouldn't be Jay-Z if Big and Pac was here, but I don't think we could even call it at this point. I'm just thinking about the effect that he might have had on young kids and how distraught they was by his death and him dying so young, because they were so heavily into his music. Think about how he was selling. Like, this kid, like Juice and X, like, they was selling crazy amounts of records. I say X on the Pac side only because of how he spoke outside of just his music, where he had influence.
So if it looks like you're kind of agreeing a little bit with me in terms of his death may have affected a lot of people, but are we saying that his career is possibly as influential and as impactful as what, again, maybe preliminary and premature to call, but that's exactly what G Herbo is talking about.
Right? Yeah.
So, like, I don't see that happening, and I know it's a little bit too early, but I could understand being up close to someone of the new generation that's a little bit different than everybody in every aspect. I could see Herbo saying that. I won't say that, though.
Right.
Yeah. I think, well, at least we can all agree that, you know, some amazing talent lost way too soon. And G Herbo is talking about this because he's doing interviews because his new project is out. So he just released his 5th studio album. It's called PTSD. 14 songs, of course, Juice WRLD was featured on it, including people like Chance, 21 Savage, Lil Uzi, Lil Durk, and more. Production by Don Cannon, D.A. Doman, DJ Crazy, and more. What'd you guys think about this project? I know you're both big Herbo fans.
So this project for me was like, it's good. I'll say that first, but it's sad. Like, it's sad. Like, you know, just listening to the shit that he's saying, because it's a lot of venting. Like it's tons of venting on there. And what's really crazy about this project is like, for me and G Herbo have a large generational gap as far as how old I am than him. But a lot of things that he's saying, I could sentimize with only because I've had friends that I lost very young, and I never like, I didn't even understand the word trauma until a few years ago. I never addressed that pain within myself. So that's where it touched me. But it's like, just listening to it, it's good, but it's like, it really puts me in a seat to think. You know what I mean? Like, it really puts me in a seat to think, like, damn, like, you know, all of these things happen so fast, and for him to be so young, I think he's only, 23 years old. Wow. How mature his mindset is, and like, he's going through rehab. He addresses, like, you know, his situation with his baby mom, because everybody has something to say about that on the Shade Room, a Ball Alert, whatever the case may be. All while keeping his rapping ability very high. It's really good, but it fucked me up a bit on certain songs. What I did like that he did is he picked like 3 classic samples. So he has like the intro from the Dynasty that Jay-Z, like that's almost an untouchable verse. So you know when somebody does a great verse on a beat, you know, you kind of want them to be careful with it because you don't want them to fuck it up. That Still Feel Me by Jadakiss, where he talks about a situation with his baby moms, and then he did like Feeling in the Air, like the drink that Beanie Siegel had. And he did all of them really good. So it's ill to see a young guy have like a kind of a call back to the music that I grew up on, but also have shit for the kids of today. I really like this album. It's
no wonder why G Herbo is, with this project, is expected to sell his highest first week ever, 60,000 with PTSD. By the way, this particular style of how he puts together an album, it's been consistent. And this was actually made him last, because the content is there. And let's go back 10 years ago or 8 years ago. Drill movement's popping in. You know, G Herbo was one of those guys where, like, of course he's talking the same tough shit as everybody else. But it's a little bit different, and some people didn't really consider what he was making drill, because there was a lot of, it wasn't just completely ignorant this, that, and third music. It was like a lot of accountability, a lot of, yo, this is how I'm dealing. Like, I'm going crazy dealing with the fact that my uncle who really I used to look up to for everything, he just went to jail for life, you know, like, and he was always putting in these messages that leads to a PTSD that says, yo, a lot of shit got me fucked up. I can't act like how y'all act. These are the reasons why. So, you know, to see him get to a point to make this, and, you know, as the drill movement has fizzled a little bit, you see that the people who have given a 360 view of that life, they're the ones winning, and he's definitely winning with content like this. You know, again, every time he's ever rapped, there was trauma there, but for him to get to the point of actually pinpointing it, not just talk about it. Sometimes you'll talk about some certain shit, but not really realize what it is. Right. Like, you might not even know, like, niggas in the hood probably don't even know what PTSD is, but they probably describe it all the time. Right. Yeah, you get me? Yeah. And I think he got to a new level of artistry, but also a new level of, you know, just growth in the last, like, probably like 18 months as, you know, he grew. You know, like, the fact that he's talking about therapy, you know, I think that's huge. So if you're a fan of G Herbo, and, like, you know, this project, like, to me, it felt like Ballin' Like I'm Kobe. You know, it's a little bit more polished because those were a little bit more raw, but it felt like he actually had a few things on the board and he really addressed it in a great way. So I really liked it, actually.
Right. Absolutely.
All right, so question for you guys to one of your points, Akademiks, from one of our viewers. So, putting Chief Keef's influence and impact aside, do you think G Herbo is the most successful artist coming out of the Chicago drill era from back in the days? I'm talking more musically and longevity, because it seems like Herbo gets more fans with every release, and his momentum keeps getting bigger each time.
Most growth. Lil Durk is wildly successful as well. Yeah. And, you know, I think, you know, he focused on the craft a lot. And he increased in his rapping ability. He started to increase not only the type of music or the sound, he started to increase, like, what he was talking about. So he is as well open in skill set. You know, I think some of the things with, like, Chief Keef, and again, this type of music is so raw in its most pure form that we loved it in, like Love Sosa by Chief Keef. This is a kid who probably just came home from doing some dumb shit in his mama's house, just making some crazy drill type music, and it went viral. I don't think he ever opened up, whether it was personality wise He was never really the interview guy. You know, he never really opened up to things he's gone through, whether it was losing his cousin or whoever. And I remember even saying that even about Dirk early on. I remember, you know, he lost his cousin like OTF Nunu, and I was like, yo, like, he keeps it going like his business as usual. That's a lot of pain and trauma. And as an artist, while you grow, you learn how to express that, you know? The thing with G Herbo is that he's beyond that. So he's shown the most growth, but I will say that Dirk as well is right there. So.
Yeah, I agree with. I think Dirk as well. The thing with G Herbo is like I feel like there's no ceiling on his demo. Like I don't think like there's no like his music fits from this age to that age. I feel like it's just wide range with him. Like dudes my age or older than me could listen to it, but also they kids could listen to it. You know what I mean? Like he has something for everybody. Dirk, same, but I think that Dirk, like just how he picks his beats, it kind of puts small barriers on him, but not too crazy. But them two are the most successful out of Chicago from that time. You know, that's still here. A lot of those kids not even here anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Content wins, man. He has the most content. Out of all of
Content
them.
wins. All right. Thank you for that question. And another project I know both of you were really looking forward to is Lil Baby's album. So this is his sophomore project. It's called My Turn. 20 songs on this one. A lot of features from people like Future, Lil Wayne, Gunna, Uzi, Young Thug, and some more. Production by Murder Beats, Take Keith, Weezy, Hit Boy, and more. So you guys also like the singles coming out of this. I know you liked his last tape. Did this live up to your expectations?
For me, absolutely. You know, I love the intro. I think the heating up with Gunna was great. I'm just going through the track list as it scrolls up. My favorite track on this, it is Emotionally Scarred. And to me, not only, you know, he unlocks this like disgusting flow on every song. I'm so sorry. Like the way he raps, like it is kind of about what he's saying, but the way he just kind of sits on a beat, like it's perfect. So I would say Emotionally Scarred is my favorite track because honestly, he's also talking about some shit he's been through. You know, like again, with content. Like again, that separates the rappers who could rap and then the rappers who are, you know, gonna be around. Because you gotta put that content into it. Of course, you know, the track with Uzi, that's a good one. Again, the reason why I fall back on Emotionally Scarred is that I've heard him rap about all the fly shit he got already. I look to the album to know him a little bit more. And tracks like Whoa, of course, which is, you know, of course, like a lead single, like you see all the flashy shit, but it's like Emotionally Scarred, the intro, the one with Gunna, those are the ones that really stick out to me. I think he really delivered with this. It's a little bit too long at the end. He probably could have cut that track with Rallo Rodriguez, but that's his artist. I understand why.
What about We Should? You mess with We Should? The joint with him and Thug?
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I was really excited to hear the one with him and Wayne.
Yeah.
And
even though Wayne verse on that joint is, you know what I mean?
And I will say, I don't know who this guy is, and every time I say that, they clip it.
42 Doug? You don't know who 42 Doug is?
No, I just found out.
42 Doug, nah, he's an artist from Detroit. He's signed to CMG and 4PF. Him and Gotti, remember Gotti said it, they partnered.
Oh shit!
Yeah, that's the artist that they
okay. Yeah, he was pretty good. He was pretty good. And of course, I like Live On My Closet. Him and Future, you know,
yeah, Live On My Closet hard too.
They got a little connection there.
Yeah, absolutely. No Sucker with Moneybag Yo. Like the thing is, my favorite song on here is Consistent. I feel like he's lived up to that. But even with watching like his interviews, because now he's talking. Yeah. Right. When he tells his story, he's not shying away from the fact that he knew that he wasn't really a rapper. And once he got into it, he really tried to learn and kept doing it until
I'm not buying that.
Huh?
I'm still not buying that.
You're not buying what?
Like I've seen him continually say like pretty much like I'm new to this shit. Like he's rapping too much at a high level.
I don't think. Look,
for him to
let me finish my thought.
Yeah.
I don't think that he's new in the sense of he never tried rapping before. I think that he said he knew P before he got signed and all that. He said that he was respected in the streets as far as getting money. I think that he was always the dude that probably could rap, that they was like, man, you need to take your ass in the studio and get off the block. And he never took it seriously. That's what I mean by like starting to really want to be an artist. Because there's tons of artists that we know that's dope that could rap, but they pity pat between being in the streets or being in music. Right. And they like more times than less, they want to get in the money than trying to make it all the way legal. Yeah. So I think that like once he took that serious, that's when he started to really hone in on it and get better. Because one thing I say about Baby is for the past 3 years is when I've been hearing him. He's gotten better with every project. I don't hear him and be like, oh, this nigga's saying the same. Even if he is saying the same exact thing, he's finding new ways to do it, or he's picking new beats to do it on. The shit with him and Gunna, like, all right, we heard a whole album with him and Gunna. That song is a level up from the album that they did. So, you know.
Yeah, he's been talking more about not wanting to go down as one of the greatest, right? He has the intention. So, question for you guys. Do you think this new Lil Baby album puts him in the conversation of top rappers in today's era? And do you think he's the hottest out of Atlanta right now?
Yes. Hey, listen, I'm gonna tell you another thing too. Yo, he got a lot of the respect of his, like, he's a lot of his peers' favorite rapper, 100%. And whether they say it out loud in front of the cameras or they say it behind closed doors, I've heard a lot of his peers give him tremendous and high accolades. I'm telling you, like, I heard one of his peers compare his run for the last year and a half, 2 years, to, they said he's on a Lil Wayne-esque run. Which, that's the ultimate,
amazing,
like,
yeah.
tip of the hat right
Yeah.
there. And this is his peers, you know? Yeah. So, of course he's in that conversation. You do supposedly gonna do around like 170 to 190. You do anywhere near 200, anything over 150, you're at the top of that conversation. But it's also skill-wise, I don't think no one's really fucking with him like that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like the numbers is cool, but like he's showing that he could rap. Like, you know, there's a point in time where if he would have came out, they would have considered him a mumble rapper. You know what I mean? Like, he's way
He's
past.
never really mumbling, yeah.
He's not mumbling at all, and that's why I gave the comparison before about like him and like maybe a Benny the Butcher having the same type of content. They just saying it 2 different ways and on different beats, but what they're talking about is damn near the same thing.
I also respect that he just moves smart, tries to stay out of trouble, is not really into the fuckery on social media. I think that's also important. So he recently did an interview with Joe Budden on his Pull-Up series, and he said people actually tried to pit him up against DaBaby just because their names were similar, and here was his reaction.
Right, because I'd have been mad at another nigga coming out with my name.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie.
And I fuck with him now.
So many niggas tried to like go that way with me, but I always curved it from day one. Like, I make sure he ain't never be nothing. I make sure that, like.
Why? Because you know that's just something stupid to be for.
And for a fact, I seen him in South by Southwest before I really started rapping with a diaper on, like on some baby shit, for sure.
Okay.
Even though my name was Baby from like Hustling, that ain't my rap name or nothing. Like, I actually seen him, like.
He's also talking so much more in interviews now from when he started out, which is great.
Yeah, I think he's getting a lot more comfortable. And, I mean, shit, you know, his counterparts over there at QC, Migos, they had to get more comfortable. But I think when he talks, like, he sounds drugged out, to be honest, right? Like, I think that's where, no, for real, that's where a couple of memes and, like, people used to say stuff, but, like, I think he's getting better with expressing himself. And, shit, I mean, I'm glad he didn't feed into that. That would be a very rookie mistake, to feed into feuding with someone else who isn't rapping like you, who may have a similar name. It's like Young Thug beefing with all the Youngs.
I don't think I don't think he sounds drugged out. I think the thing is he might have a speech problem. Like, for real. I think he might just have, some people can rap, but they can't speak.
Maybe it makes him a better rapper though. That's
He looks like he got a slight case of Tourette's. I ain't gonna hold you. For real.
Yeah, but Tourette's ain't got nothing to do with drugs.
That's not what Tourette's is like.
I'm telling you, the way how he's struggling and it just gets it out.
Either way,
he might have a problem. He might have a problem speaking. I don't think that we automatically put it out. I don't think we automatically put a nigga on drugs.
No. Because there were a lot of interviews where he was talking and just based on like his like reactions with like his body movements.
Okay.
People said like this looks like a reaction of somebody who was on perks or whatever the case. I'm just saying what the internet's saying. Let's not act like y'all don't read now, okay?
I see that. What the
y'all niggas is safe now. Yo, y'all niggas safe now. Look at y'all.
Ain't nobody safe, niggas. I see the meme pages say, but I know a lot. Listen, do you know?
I've been on Twitter too. You on Twitter?
Nigga, do you know with people on drugs? Like he said on the interview that he drinks lean. Like lean don't make you do that. You know what I'm saying?
What I'm saying, I didn't say it was correct about what they're saying. I'm just saying that was a thought. And if I'm an artist who I'm a phenomenal rapper, and also I'm signed to QC, owned by P, who sees everything and is very culturally aware. I'm not putting my artists out there to get judged in interviews when his music's amazing.
Well, if it is something like Tourette's syndrome, he could also be open. You know that pop star Billie Eilish, we talked about her a few weeks ago. She's been really open about it. You could see it in some interviews. Yeah, and she's still an amazing artist. So like, it takes nothing away from your artistry. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also just embrace it.
Yeah.
So I think, but that's what I'm saying. They're at the point where I think they're branding him as a superstar.
Right.
Because before they were just putting out the music.
Right.
And I think now, just like the Migos, like them niggas ain't want to talk. Like them niggas used That nigga stared us down in the BET
They're
Awards.
different.
But it was
They're
like,
different,
all right,
though.
y'all catch a bad and bougie, you're a star now. I don't care what you want, you got a star. So now,
Have you seen the Migos perform before? So it's so funny, right? So when they perform, it's like Offset is going hard, Quavo's going hard, Takeoff just walking around in the back. Like that shit is bad funny. Like
Still?
Yeah, like he just walking around in the back.
nah, man, you know, they try to come up here, man. No,
I fuck with the Migos, but I've been to a show. Like I've been to a show. Like.
Takeoff, it wasn't me. It's Wayno this time.
I fuck with them though.
Shout out to Lil Baby. It's amazing to watch the growth.
Absolutely.
Congrats on this new album, Akademiks. May you take us through some numbers quickly, sir?
In the numbers segment.
In the numbers segment.
Well, you know me, I love watching the Billboard Top 200 album charts. You know, fortunately for the last couple of weeks, hip hop is dominating, and we had for the last week again, Youngboy, who actually debuted selling 91,000. He debuted behind like a K-pop group, so like we're gonna forget about them. They sold some wild numbers. I don't know what they got, but he did fall short of selling 100,000. He sold 91,000, which I still think is a stellar project. He announced it about 2 weeks before he dropped it. Was no lead singles, it just kind of came out. So his fan base pretty strong. Roddy Ricch, his album, you know, still in the top 5. He sold 65,000 units. We had a Boogie with his project Artist 2.0. He's still around the top 10 with 57,000 sold, being at number 6. Post Malone, he probably dropped his album probably like a couple decades ago, but it's still at number 7, selling 50,000. And you know, Pop Smoke's album, you know, rest in peace, Meet the Woo Volume 2, it actually had an increase in sale for this week. It actually sold like around 50,000. Trippie Redd's album, by the way, was like, that's the unspoken thing, like really, even on this show and just kind of like in hip hop, yo, Trippie is consistently staying in that top 10.
Right.
And we used to think that all that bullshit he used to be doing, going back and forth with other artists, was the play to win. Seems like it's just having good music.
Yeah,
That's
he
what's
stopped
winning.
all of that.
Yeah.
He stopped all of that.
So, coming up on next week's Billboard chart, so we got to see where Baby lands, if he gets to 200 or he just does around 175. Regardless, I think it's just a win in general, right?
Yeah.
But again, I mentioned before, we also have G Herbo, who's expected to do 60, which is pretty solid, pretty stellar.
And Roddy Ricch still has the #1 record in the country.
I don't think he has it after next week.
Well, he has it this week though.
No, he has it this week, but I don't think he have it in next
Didn't
week.
the video just come out?
Yeah, the video came out last
So
week.
it might.
I'm not gonna lie, when I look at the charts, they all say Lil Baby. He's killing everything.
Okay, Baby.
But you never know.
Yeah.
I know.
You never know.
All right, so like you mentioned, Youngboy's doing really well. A couple weeks ago, we were talking about him being one of the top streaming rappers on YouTube ever. Apparently, he's doing so well that he doesn't think he even needs to perform live anymore, and fans are not really feeling this. He said he's making millions on house arrest. Check it out.
I ain't performing so long, I swear. Yeah. I think that was you asked me that yesterday, am I ready to perform? I told that nigga fucking I was say. I really done made millions of dollars while being on house arrest. I know. Hey, so they didn't show me that I can make millions of dollars by not going on stage and perform. Like, I feel like, man, what the fuck I gotta go?
All right, it's interesting to hear him say this because you hear so many artists tell you that they collect some of the biggest checks from performing, right? So one fan says, I see that Youngboy NBA is bragging about not doing shows and making millions while on house arrest. Personally, I don't think it's cool, especially for fans who want to see him perform. But do you think in today's era, an artist signed or indie can survive without ever doing a live show?
Oh, 100%. You gotta be hot enough though.
Yeah, you definitely gotta be hot enough. But I mean, at the same time, it's like, I just be looking at it like, man, be a hustler, like for real. Like that, it's cool that you're making millions doing that, but like, what's your goal? If your goal is just to not do nothing and make millions, then yeah, stay your ass in the house. But if you want to make more money, where you can build more business and do a lot more things, go do a show or two. You know, go do a tour. Like Uzi only does tours. He don't do like spot dates. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. For what that fan is saying, it depends. So, of course, if you're hot enough, you can. But for certain artists, including a Youngboy, I'm cool with him not doing the show.
Ever?
I wouldn't say necessarily ever, but like Youngboy is one of those people that when he goes outside, he gets in trouble.
Probably.
Also,
Oh, that's what you mean.
yeah, like, you know, no, and it's like him going to a show, there's so much things that happen there that have led to legal problems.
Right.
So I understand why he might feel a sense of relief, like, yo, I'm on house arrest, like I'm not even out there, still seen running into people, getting in situations, probably feel a sense of relief. And I could appreciate it, at least from him. You know? I mean, again, you of course will want the artist to do everything, but I think with Youngboy, I think he's fine without it.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, stay in the house, stay out of trouble. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, your fans still want a live experience. You know, if they could get one.
Some of these guys aren't the best performers. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen them perform, but like, you're not expecting a production when you see NBA Youngboy. You, as a young kid, you expecting to just see him go crazy doing the songs.
And also, like, I think this is gonna influence a lot of things going into the future. So you're gonna see a lot of artists. I think we see it a little bit with Summer Walker. She don't want to be on stage.
So artists don't want to sign deals. They don't want to do shows.
Well, here's the thing. Some of this great music that we're loving all the closeted, like, antisocial people. You can't be mad at the antisocial people who are making I'm a little bit, like, I have anxiety about everything,
Right.
and then want a big ass show from them.
Listen, Roddy Ricch album is called Excuse Me for Being Antisocial. That nigga is selling out shows every night.
He might be capping.
He's selling out shows
I'm
every
just
night.
saying, like, if you also think about, and this is why I'm very cool with it for Youngboy. He seems like he's in a happy place. Like,
Yeah.
You know, a video leaked like not too long ago where he was in a studio. He's balanced some things. So, you know, if he's happy not being on stage or he feels like he's not ready now, and of course he's still one of the hottest artists out, let him chill out. And, you know, it's not for everybody. You know, again, like, not everyone could be in a mentally ready place like Roddy Ricch to go do the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know, so I understand it. I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, if it keeps him out of trouble, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's a fair point, Akademiks. So yesterday when we talked about Megan Thee Stallion and her label issues, she was saying that basically they're blocking her from releasing new music because she wants to restructure. These two had very strong feelings about it, so we have some more details now. Let's see if any of your opinions change. So according to TMZ, she filed a suit against the label. So it's 1501 Certified Entertainment and its CEO, Carl Crawford, for reportedly $1 million in damages. So according to the suit, she says that the deal gives her 40% of the money she makes and the other 60 goes to the label to pay engineers, featured artists, etc., and it's not enough for her to live on. She also reportedly alleges certain executives at the label have a reputation for, quote, bullying and using strong arm tactics. So you guys mentioned Jay Prince yesterday. Reportedly, the CEO has been using his relationship with Jay Prince to intimidate people in the industry. So a judge has granted her a temporary restraining order, so it prevents the label from stopping her from releasing any music or attacking her on social media or anything like that.
That's pretty big on her. At least it's a victory. It's a small victory for her, like in the interim. I don't know. It's a temporary restraining order. Usually those are like 30 days. I don't know if it matters in this case. But hopefully she could put out whatever music she want to put out now. I still don't think that works, because when you put out music, okay, fine, you can put out music, but the label has to kind of like do what they have to do. Again, that situation has to get settled in some type of way.
I mean, you guys just really had the opinion that whatever, she signed whatever deal it was at the time, it's fine, and that you felt like other labels were maybe trying to take advantage. But if the reports of intimidation are true or does that change your perspective at all?
Okay, so I seen people talking about a couple of things. I seen some really hot takes that was like, she's in the worst deal ever.
Everybody's always in the worst deal ever.
Like, this is for real. They're like, yo, this is a slave deal. I'm like, oh shit. And again, I would just say this is one side. When somebody files a lawsuit until we see a response. By the way, do I believe the intimidation shit? Yes, of course I do. I 100% do. But I believe it. But it's Jay Prince. He makes courtesy calls. Like, come on, are you serious? But I do think, this is in response to meddling and tampering from other entities. By the way, not co-signing, not saying this right, but I think that's where that's coming from. As far as her contract and whatever she's saying, I do agree with her that if, and I think that's where the renegotiation starts, right? Like, hey, cool, you signed me to this when I was very unsuccessful. I've had some success. Let's talk again. And I think that's how business should be done. You get me? Or else you're gonna have people unhappily trying to fulfill a contract. And Wayno, like, a lot of these new artist contracts are long. Imagine someone staying on their initial contract for 5 albums. You will be pretty much unhappy.
Well.
What's up, Wayno?
Well. Nah, like when I seen the thing about like the paying the engineers and all that's telling me is that the production company controls the budget. So it's like, okay, they're saying like we have this, we get the budget, the recording budget to say you go to this studio, all that. Like you have to pay. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like okay, 40% of the money is. That's what I'm saying. People just looking at the numbers and we don't know the terms. So I'm only hypothetically speaking. When I look at 60% of the money, is 60% of what money? Like, you know what I mean? Is it, if you're saying 60% of your budget, then it's like, okay, fam, you have to spend money on engineers, you have to spend money to record, you have to spend money, travel goes into that, all of that goes into that. So if they're controlling all of that, I don't see what the problem is. You know what I'm saying? But if we're talking about your shows and all of that, then that's a different story. Everybody's looking at numbers and we don't know the terms. So we all just saying and we're not gonna see that. No matter how many reports come out, we're not gonna see the fucking contract.
So we should save our hot takes then.
And honestly, this is why, like, I hate that we still haven't educated, at least to the best of our abilities, the consumer on what a record contract is.
But they vary. This shit is like, it varies. It's like a fingerprint. It's different for everybody.
But on the different types, right? Because again, you have to imagine that an artist could always like kind of either cede this to TMZ to put out, or if this is seen in a lawsuit, it's gonna look in favor of an artist. Because you know why? Fans look at it like, why would you ever own half, or why would you ever get half of what this person's working for? You're breaking it down to, okay, is it budgets? Is this the profit?
Right.
Is it like, what are we talking about?
Right.
The regular fan don't know.
Yeah, they don't know.
Care.
They don't know and don't care. You're right about that.
So again, I do think, you know, because fans do see shit like this and make strong opinions.
Yeah.
I do think we gotta have some more education about that. But I do think, regardless, if she's still on that same contract, and every same contract when you ain't nobody, it's shitty. That's how it goes. If she's still on that same contract, they should be willing to negotiate. If what she says is true and they do not want to negotiate, even if they have a reason of saying, yo, people are meddling in situations, they should renegotiate. Unhappy artists ain't gonna provide no product.
Well, she's only, I seen an interview from the guy she signed to, and he said that she's only put out 2 mixtapes. She signed for 4 albums.
Oh shit!
So she has got a long way to go, baby.
Oh man,
got a long way to go.
Well, that's why maybe Roc Nation is trying to get involved to like order the label. Like, yo, whoa, that mixtape, what you call a mixtape, that's an album. You never know, like.
All the same money is spent, so.
But that auditing process where sometimes it might be in a contract to say a mixtape might be required to heat you up to get the album, but that don't count as an album, right? So again, you drop 2 mixtape, the shit is doing well, and they tell you, yeah, we're gonna get to your debut album soon. You still got 4 more to go, so I can understand that, but you know, that's a little arbitration process.
A little arbitration process. Okay, I'm sure we're gonna hear more about this. So a lot of friends, family, fans are still grieving the loss of Pop Smoke, and according to TMZ, the police are having a really hard time with the investigation. They're saying some witnesses are refusing to talk, and those who have talked are changing their stories, unfortunately. But his family has finally issued a statement, just saying that they wanted to express their gratitude to everyone who's reached out to support them. They said every prayer, call, and act of kindness is deeply appreciated as we mourn the loss of our son, brother, and friend. And a club in Paris even debuted a hologram of Pop Smoke over the weekend, which was dope. And we will get some new music maybe soon. So 50 Cent has announced that he wants to work on Pop Smoke's posthumous album. He said, I'm on the move listening to Pop Smoke. I decided I'm going to executive produce and finish his album for him. His manager, Steven Victor, supported this. This could be cool.
The finish of the album, the 50 thing. Yeah. I think it is. I think it is. I think
there are a lot of comparisons between them, and 50 was a fan.
He looked up to 50. I think that's cool. I don't think he getting Drake on that though, because of Steven Victor. But good try. I think it's a good thing though. I think maybe it's not necessarily what Pop's vision is, but I do think fans have to understand that when an artist passes away during the process of making an album, it's impossible, bro. Like, they're still trying to finish their vision, but again, you don't know exactly what they would do. So I think 50's trying to do best and do right. Yeah,
I just hope that, for more of the executives or older artists, like if you do fuck with a younger artist, just do it now. You know what I mean? Like let's not wait till these things happen. Like let's just jump in, and because he wasn't working on it prior. You know what I mean? I'm happy that 50 is working on it, but like I want to see more of like the older guys say, yo, listen, you need help, I'm down to, get in and work with you. So let's not wait for these things to happen.
I do think 50's approach with like new artists, I think ever since, I would say probably Soulja Boy. Because, 50 has shown...
That XL cover.
Yeah. Ever since Soulja... No, actually, not Soulja Boy. Ever since Chief Keef, but Soulja Boy as well. he really got close to Chief Keef and was trying to guide him, maybe a little bit too much. You know, young niggas, they're like, man, if you don't get your old ass, and really that's kind of what it was. Remember, Chief Keef didn't even show up to the video shoot, the song he had with 50. Right. I think 50, ever since then, has embraced the new guy who kind of embodies that spirit or energy that, you know, he most classically like dominated. And he's like, give them a cosign here or there, but he doesn't try to stay too close where they feel like he's overshadowing them. Right. And that's why I could probably, that's just me thinking out loud and saying that's maybe why he wasn't like, yo, Pop, let me get in on your album. Young dude might be like, this nigga cloud chasing, why you over here? Like, I got here without you. Like, let me rock this right now.
I swear.
I'm serious. So, but I do think 50's ability to pull certain things together and make it work, those connection and that reach that 50 has, I don't care who else was like EP in that album, you're probably not gonna have as much reach and ability to get certain things to happen as much as 50. So I like that movie.
Yeah, it would be a nice final tribute for sure. All right, guys, thank you. Also, we have a question about 50 as a possible CEO for Def Jam, but we'll talk about that tomorrow instead. Thank you for watching. Keep sending your questions on Twitter at EverydayStrugg with 2 G's, and we'll see you here tomorrow.
Wayno for CEO. I'm saying it right now. Wayno, CEO, bro.
Wayno for CEO.
You take the job? Oh, man.